I'm Charlie Perry, and this is our story. Today we have a very special guest with us. This is Noemi, a representative from Rock Chalk Invisible Hawk. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So I'd just like to start off today by asking, what exactly is Rock Chalk Invisible Hawk for our viewers that don't know a lot about the cause,
Right.
and what do you guys want to do?
We are trying to amplify the voices of marginalized students. That's really the main goal. And part of that is getting demands met. So there are 15 demands, and they were compiled by thinking of all the people, all the narratives that we knew of, our personal experiences on campus, and just trying to make it a safer environment for everyone. So a lot of people think of Invisible Hawks as a group addressing anti-Black racism, and that's certainly true, absolutely. However, they think about other intersections as well.
Recently, the Provost's office released on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a document from the Chancellor, Bernadette Gray Little, basically talking about unveiling an action plan for diversity and inclusion. Now, it hasn't happened as of yet. They said this week they're hoping to unveil it. Do you think the university is doing enough at this point, or could they be doing more? And if so, what could they be doing, you think?
Well, I did read that letter, and I will say that I'm in several organizations, and everyone in those organizations are skeptical of the letter. I will also say that I have been involved at KU trying to fight the issue of sexual assault on campus, and this is the same thing that we saw when we demanded changes around sexual assault policies. So there was a letter, there was a promise of something being unveiled, and then so long later, when people sort of simmered down and didn't care anymore, they quietly created a document, and there was no action. I believe that KU has not done enough because they have not met the demands, and these are demands created by marginalized students for other marginalized students. And if KU is just not listening to the oppressed, then they're just not doing enough at all. They're just not doing enough. If they're being resistant to meeting with Invisible Hawks, they're not doing enough. If they're allowing opposition to threaten our lives and allowing for IOA to deny, if they're allowing IOA to not punish people who perform blackface, they're not doing enough. Absolutely, KU is not doing enough.
What is it like, being up at the university as a minority, just attending on a daily basis? Like, how is that for you, or how do you feel?
Me being a feminist who is Native, Black, and Philippines, that affects me a lot when I'm trying to navigate these spaces, and I'm open to teaching, and people are resistant to learning because that program at KU, which is supposed to be intersectional and inclusive, just isn't. And people think they're getting everything that they need from it, but they aren't. And that's the nature of racism, is that brown people and Black people, whatever we say, is subject to questioning. Our intellect is subject to question constantly. So that's basically what my experience has been, just feeling invalidated, feeling invisible. I know that when I went to a BSU meeting, Black Student Union, a lot of the Black students said that they just go to class and then they go home, and they don't participate in anything outside of class. They don't hang out in the cafes because they're super uncomfortable, and they said they feel unwelcome on campus. And I realized that's how I felt too. I felt unwelcome.
Why do you think it's so difficult for people to just accept one another for who they are, and not judge based on the color of their skin, but, as Martin Luther King would say, the content of their character?
So I think what you're describing is dismantling prejudice, people's personal prejudices on an interpersonal level when they're interacting with each other, and that's important. However, racism is a system, and we don't necessarily have a choice as to whether or not we participate in that system. It's either we are complicit with it or we're fighting it. And unfortunately, a lot of people are complicit. And racism allows prejudices to be acted on as power. And that's why it's so hard, I think, because racism as a system, when we start to understand that, that's how we can dismantle it. Dismantling our prejudices is an important way to fight racism. It cannot be the only way. And I think that information is what's missing in people's analysis of how we can finally begin to respect each other. There's a system we have to dismantle, not just our internalized prejudices. Growing is a continual process around race and learning about it, so it's important to keep doing it, keep trying. We all mess up, keep trying. Figure out how to make it right if you've hurt people. The first step is just believing what we say. Just believe how dire it is.
So, do you have anything else you want to say to the students? Anything that you feel like we should still cover?
Well, I would like people to watch out for Student Activist Committee. That's a new activist group at KU, separate from Invisible Hawks, and focusing on, right now, issues within the social work school, social welfare school, because the social welfare school should be more active. And right now the dean has been saying some really obscene things like perceived racism at KU, and he had slammed the door in the face of a black woman who was trying to ask for his help. And so Student Activist Committee is also coming up and arranging some things at KU. So.
All right, this has been the first segment of our story. I'd like to thank my special guest, Noemi, for coming in. They had a very busy schedule, but they made it. So until next week, everybody, remember, we're all in this together. I'm Charlie Perry.